Welcome to the Spherity podcast season, Product Passport Pioneers. My name is Susanne Guth-Orlowski, and I'm Chief Innovation and Solutions Officer of Spherity. Today, I'm speaking with Josef Schön. He is from the Corporate Strategy and Sustainability Management of Audi. Welcome, Josef.
Thank you for having me on the floor.
I was actually extremely looking forward to this discussion today with you because you're a first car manufacturer in this season. And therefore, I think we have a lot of interesting things to discuss. First of all, before we go into the details of the product passport, tell us a little bit about your personal or professional road that brought you to working on the battery passport today.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's already a pretty long road. There's one simple reason. Decarbonization is make or break for our industry, and the most prominent, the most effective way doing this is electromobility. Electromobility, which is based on batteries, and batteries need to be sustainable in themselves. So it's quite obvious that with the complex supply chain, value chain of batteries, we as the car manufacturers, the OEMs, sitting at the very end of the first value chain. We cannot control everything within this very complex mechanism, and so therefore we need initiatives like the Global Battery Alliance to get this whole setup of organizations, of companies, of value chain partners in the right direction, to set the right standards, to set the right ambition levels, to assure that once the material comes to us, to our gate, that everything has been fine before. And Global Battery Alliance, because of its worldwide setup, of its importance, is exactly the right organization for us, and therefore we joined it.
So you already mentioned a lot of important things, Josef. Is that what you're doing at Audi, and what does it stand for? You stand for, as you said, I think in your role, you stand for the activities in the Global Battery Alliance for Audi and Volkswagen and other companies. Maybe tell us a sentence about your responsibilities within Audi.
Regarding batteries, I'm somehow the representative to the Global Battery Alliance for the whole Volkswagen Group. So all our companies within this huge brand family, let's call it, are represented by myself. Within my home turf, I'm responsible for all sustainability activities in our corporate strategy. This means to look ahead in the future, see what trends are coming in, what risks are to be managed at our side, to organize a very intense stakeholder interaction, stakeholder dialogues, and so on, to simply figure out what we are held responsible for, to define the right measures to address these responsibilities in our various value steps, set up the right key performance indicators to somehow describe what needs to be done on a very detailed level, allocate necessary budgets to this, and so on. Then also reporting is part of our responsibility. So the whole set of sustainability activities within Audi, this is done in our department. There we are responsible for.
Okay, thank you very much for giving this insight. You already mentioned the GBA. You have been part of the GBA from the beginning. Tell us a little bit about those exciting days back there. Who was there? What was happening, and what was the motivation?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's really the global battery alliance, and this is extremely important because batteries, material for batteries, have the tendency to float around the whole planet, and so therefore this is extremely in the middle of the construction there. From the beginning on, organizations like World Bank, African Development Bank, like OECD, like big raw material suppliers, Glencore, for example, or ERG, all those companies in the middle, the CAM manufacturers, BASF, for example, and then obviously very important, the big battery cell manufacturers, and all of them are there. CATL, just to name a few, LG, Energy Systems is on board, Soft, and so on. So there was then also the what I would call industrial users, like us, like other OEMs. But, and that's important to say, it's not an automotive activity. It's really on all batteries. All batteries, meaning also not only the lithium ion. Yes, they are somehow in the focus, but also lead acid batteries are tackled by the Global Battery Alliance. So many important organizations, and when I say organizations, then especially the NGOs are named. For example, Transport and Environment. Why is that? Because it's a multi-stakeholder initiative. It's not an industry initiative. And this multi-stakeholder character is on the one hand challenging, because you have to deal with different viewpoints, obviously. But this permanent discussion, this fight for the best solution and so on, this is the right way to go, because what we are defining is has a lot of impact into the future, and therefore it has to be done careful. It has to be done in a very comprehensive mode, and so on. And NGOs are bringing very valuable opinion to the overall story, and this is really great to see.
You've been mentioning this important NGO already, and obviously we have the regulations. This is why we also built the battery passport. But in the end, the customer has to buy a more sustainable car. Yeah, and maybe from your side, your insight that you can give us, what does the customer want? At the annual meeting of the GBA, you said keep it simple. Does the customer want a car with a badge that says green car or recyclable car, or what do we actually need to work towards?
Well, first of all, the end customer needs mobility, and by the way, I think that mobility is really a vital need for society. And mobility is the one thing, but together with this mobility, especially with a car, with a premium car, there's also a certain lifestyle. And when it comes to this questions of how sustainable is my personal mobility, then people do not want to rely on on technologies which are doubtful, technologies they have to explain to other peers and so on. So we need to be very, very careful in designing the things in a way that they are done properly regarding, for example, greenhouse gas footprint. Because electromobility is our most important lever against climate change.
Yeah.
Doing greenhouse gas footprint of batteries not right. Hey, then we create another problem in this area. And so therefore we have to check carefully, to check comprehensively, is greenhouse gas footprint done in the right way? Are there maybe alternative technologies and so on? So it's about the peace of mind of customers regarding all ESG issues, be it human rights, be it greenhouse gas footprint, as I call it, be it material supply. There's always the question, hey, is there enough lithium available worldwide? How about all those questions regarding cobalt and so on? So we need to have all those things done properly to create a full package of confidentiality. No confidentiality of
sustainability, maybe, I don't know.
Yeah, of trustfulness and so on. So that the customer really can say, yes, that's what I want to be seen with. This I'm proud of, and so on.
Yeah. Okay, that's what I'm proud of, what the customer wants to have. And you mentioned lifestyle, and I think lifestyle is also a word that is changing, or at least the meaning of it's changing, or the way customers want to express their lifestyle. When I look at the younger generations, I see more and more that they live a lifestyle that's totally different from 20 years ago, where you want to be seen with a large car that has this motors that we had in the past years. So I think that a lifestyle in the future, or maybe already today, means I have an electric vehicle, and I have maybe even a positive CO2 footprint. So I also think that lifestyle as an expression is changing, or the meaning of it. Would you agree?
Yeah, absolutely. Always has been continuous change, and this will be also in future. And well, what makes our business very, very interesting, but also fuzzy at the same time, is due to the fact that we have a development time of a car which is around 5 years. This means also there's always the question, what will be in 5 years from now? And to foresee that, to put a certain jeton into the bet, this is really the trick, and it's quite obvious. Sustainability is a clear must in this case.
Yeah. So now we have the new battery regulation from 2020, which will be ratified soon, or it at least has the next hurdle to pass end of this year, beginning of next year. As a regulated company, what do you think about the battery regulation? Do you think, oh no, yet another regulation for us? What are your thoughts?
No, I would say this regulation is a good one. We need to have somehow a certain advocacy regarding all those sustainability aspects. They somehow need to be priced into the overall system. So that's good. This regulation also means clear guidelines for the business. You have something you can hold against, and it's again us sitting at the end of the value chain. We need regulations like this to make sure that all those stuff happening before us is also done in the right way. And for this, this regulation is a very good lever. Plus the effect that the European Commission does this in a very working together with industry and so on, not to do something against them, but to really to help get things organized in the right way, organized from the very beginning. This means from raw material all the way down to recycling, and especially for Europe. Well, we are not a very resource-rich continent, meaning that we have to take care for all those materials, that we have a clear material stewardship, that we know where does all those materials come from, for what are they used? Are they used for good purposes? Where are they going at the end of life? And do they get recycled and come back into the value chain? This is important, and the battery passport will help to get transparency in the beginning, and building on this transparency, we then can optimize the processes afterwards, and simply improve the sustainability performance of the whole value chain.
And at the very beginning, you also mentioned KPIs. So I think, would you agree that it gives you a tool where you can measure KPIs, or where customers or the entire industry has KPIs that they can work against? So okay,
exactly. This regulation will help us to define the right KPIs, KPIs which are then a common basis. Not that the one goes in the one direction, the other goes in another, and nothing is really comparable. Also for the end customer, what you said before this, please keep it simple. A customer has to make an enormous variety of decisions then for a final product, and also a car is very complex in itself. So it has to be comparable. It has to be easy to understand. We have via the passport give some guidance also to the end customers and so
on. We also have other regulations. We have the Supply Chain Act, for example. We have a directive on corporate sustainability due diligence. We have an upcoming Raw Materials Act. Last week in the Raw Materials Week of the EU in Brussels, I heard that the first proposal will come out end of March next year. So are not those regulations overlapping in some way?
They are, and it's definitely our hope that they, first of all, will fit together, and let's call it this is more or less a storming phase at the moment. And I hope that over time, all those regulations will somehow convert together, and there will be some overarching regulation integrating all those various aspects. Let's look at this battery regulation. Well, that's a very important part of an electric car, the battery. But it's not the whole car. So there has to be more to come around this, and so it's only the front runner, let's call it, and some other things will follow, and they have somehow to come together because otherwise it doesn't make too much sense.
Yeah, I
Not
guess
on the
that's
European level.
something that we need to request, right? That we need to request
Yeah.
also from the European Commission, that they kind of interrelated legislations, because I see ESG criteria in all regulations. And the Raw Materials Act should look into sustainable raw materials, raw material resilience, of course, also. But the Supply Chain Act looks after ESG criteria. The battery passport or the new battery regulation is looking at the same thing, and the sustainability due diligence also somehow. So I think it's a request that they see the overlapping potential and also give some kind of guidance that we don't invent the wheel like 4 times for different regulations. It would be my request.
Yeah. And not only on the European level, but also worldwide.
Yes.
For example, the Americans are just taking off with a regulation on batteries. California explicitly.
Yes.
Chinese regulations are already in place. Japan is coming up, and so on. India, and having different systems in place is already awful, but having different ambition levels and so on is even worse. So things somehow have to be harmonized. Then we really can create this enormous momentum for decarbonization also in the use of the batteries, because this is what we desperately need as society. What we have seen in Sharm el Sheikh over the past days and weeks, there is urgency around, and we should not hinder this transformation of mobility and other business sectors with deharmonized legislation and so on.
Yeah. So from our point of view, we're coming from the decentralized technology area as Spherity, and we very strongly believe that each company, for example, states their own ESG, reporting, or states their company's CO2 footprint once, or product footprint once. And then all kind of different industries can actually then come and request this from one manufacturer or from any actor in the value chain. That this is the only way how this complex value chain that you're also describing is actually able to tackle it. So, do you have an opinion on this decentralized approach, or let's say about the self-sovereign data management that is also requested by the European Commission for the battery pass?
To find the right setup, there are at the moment many activities around to see what is the best, the most efficient way of organizing it. Cross recognition is definitely one fundamental thing for all those things. Self-organized data, yes and no. We always need somehow third-party verification, so that a certain assurance level is guaranteed, and so on. So defining the right thing is really is a challenge at the moment. I have no projection where this will end up. For example, in the automotive environment, Catena X is working on very interesting things. Those might be adopted by other industries as well. We need to see where we come to.
Absolutely. I mean, thank you for mentioning this Catena X stuff, because I just wanted to also take the listener with us, because Catena X is based on Gaia X principles, and Gaia X is based on decentralized identities and decentralized storage. and that does not include third-party audits. So third-party audits are an important, ingredient of Gaia X, or of the entire decentralized concept. So it's not contradicting. I also think that we need third-party audits, and that we need allow third-party audits from different standards, with all kinds of different insurance levels and so forth, so that we can have different use cases that we look at, and different audit levels for different use cases, because the topic is complex, but it's not contradicting in my view.
Yep, absolutely agree. Yep.
Mm-hmm. So coming to maybe another thing that is that I'm always hearing from the different industries, how important is the business confidentiality and privacy for Audi? Because we're looking at the product passport as Spherity in different product categories. We're looking at the battery in the mobility industry, but we also look at textiles and at buildings and so forth. And in all those industries, I hear that the business confidentiality is important for them, and they actually don't want to reveal their supply chain. How important is that for Audi?
Yeah, also extremely important for ourselves, also for our business partners, obviously. We have to be extremely careful about this aspect, respecting the need for the privacy of business relations and so on. So when we construct the whole information flow, we definitely need to respect this need, even in-house. So when we, as for example, sustainability, need a certain information from our supply chain, we need to make sure that there is a firewall, an internal firewall, to our procurement folks. Because knowing about certain sustainability aspects, you automatically can recalculate the amount of energy, the type of energy used, and type of energy means the cost. And all of a sudden, you are at the business level, and this is then definitely a huge hurdle for this sustainability information, and the whole system crashes. So the setup of this information flow, this needs to be very sensitively designed, and this is one of the major aspects we are working on.
Yeah. I mean, it's already addressing one part of achieving to implement the battery passport in some way. Where would you think are the most important steps that you need to make as Audi? I mean, there's obviously already a lot of data there, I guess, for the battery passport. But what are the gaps? What are the steps not only you as Audi, but probably the entire industry needs to make, or all car manufacturers need to make, to actually implement the DPP? Can you share something here?
The most important gap is how should I put it? Is the willingness, the ability of all value chain partners to contribute to the overall system, and their trust is the common basis. So that there is no blaming and shaming, but always this thrive for improvement. I think this is the most important. Without this confidentiality, without this trust level, the system will not work. So this is one of the important. Another one is that we do not put the bar too high at the moment, so that there is a very exclusive standard. because what we want to have, what we need is an improvement in the overall system. But improvement, you will stay away if a certain hurdle doesn't seem to be reachable.
Yes.
And therefore, we need to find the right way that organization might stretch to get to the goals, and then over time we can lift the bar. That's but this is also a very sensitive part of the overall system.
Yeah. And I think we work in a lot of projects that target also exactly this. I have to come back also to the decentralized storage, because it exactly facilitates what you mentioned, that the actors in the value chain actually keep control over their data and keep control over who accesses this data, and therefore they can trust the system, and therefore they open up and work with the entire industry is one thing. And then we're also kind of a large fan of the Gaia X movement again, and Catena X, because the technology there that is developed is actually exactly helping those actors, or can help those actors to participate at the ecosystem with a very low burden. Yeah, because the technology that's currently developed also by Spherity is open sourced. So actually everyone can take a piece of code and put it on your system and then participate at this data ecosystem. This is basically the approach that we believe in and therefore follow. So that's an interesting discussion, and that's definitely something that we also want to point the listener to, just to get into it, maybe inform yourself a little bit about Catena X and Gaia X, what they do and what this ecosystem, data ecosystem, is actually about, that's currently being built in Europe, also with European funding. So we have talked about a lot of things. I think what we have not touched too much at the moment is standards. Obviously, to reach this battery pass ecosystem, we need a lot of standards. And there are currently, approaches to develop standards in different areas, maybe from other projects that you've seen in your work life, Josef. Where things have been standardized in the entire industry. What is the most promising approach? Who should create the standards? Is it, is it the car manufacturer that sets the standards? Is it something like the Global Battery Alliance? Are it well-established standards bodies such as ISO? Or what do you think is the most promising approach now to get the standards we need for the DPP?
So my feeling is the procedure should be like the following. We always have to look what is already existing, what can we use, on what can we build on. And actually, this is what we did in the Global Battery Alliance. So we looked around what is fitting to the overall picture. Then second. Well, an industry standard, yes, it's nice, but not in the case of sustainability. So therefore, you definitely need a multi-stakeholder approach. This means the NGOs at the table, the regulators on the table, and so on, to get this common understanding. Also, this common fight for the standard, to also defend it against any outside negative press and whatever. So this is number two, to define, to see, hey, where are the white spots for these overall pictures with standard plus additions to that. Then obviously the cross recognition. It means when other initiatives have done useful things like IRMA, for mining and so on. Then integrate this into the picture and so on. So this is this putting together this puzzle is the right way of doing. And one example, one very good example, is Aluminium Stewardship Initiative. It's more or less the same as the Global Battery Alliance is doing on a much less complex value chain. Nevertheless, also a very sustainability intense value chain. But this has worked out extremely well with many organizations to be brought into the overall system, and that's the right way of doing.
Super. Thank you so much for your opinion on this one with your experience. Very valuable. So we're slowly coming to an end. I have one last question and one maybe leave statement that I leave you to do. We have the regulation and we know we need to work towards sustainability, but can you think of other benefits that the digital product passport has for your industry, for Audi in particular?
Yeah, this passport is all about transparency. So transparency in the value chain, but also in where will all our products go at the end? Because once we have sold the car to the end customer, then we are somehow off the track. And with the battery passport, there we have the chance to look, hey, where are all this material is going to? What about circular economy? Because this is so important for resource stewardship. And so this battery passport will help seeing, okay, where is the battery? What about the state of health of the battery? Is it useful for repurposing, for example? How about end of life recycling, efficiency of recycling, organizing all this? So this is really good and absolutely necessary. For business resilience, but obviously also for the planet. It's obvious.
And I like it how you now newly defined the word transparency, for me at least, because a lot of people talk about only the supply chain transparency, but what you said is actually that we need transparency downstream, transparency towards the recycler. And I think now, in my own mind at least, I've sorted out two things. We need business confidentiality still in the supply chain, so that everyone can protect their business, but we need transparency downstream to enable the circular economy.
Absolutely.
So thank you for this discussion. Is there any last statement that you would like to share with the listeners? Some important last words?
Yeah, join the party. It's really cool. It's great to have this also inside what is going on. We need all those folks sitting in the various supply chains to make things happen, to get all the gaps which are still existing closed. So that's a well-oiled machine at the end of the day. And this will help our sustainability aspects a lot. So this would be my famous last words. Let's call it. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Josef, and thank you for being with us today.
It was a pleasure.